June 23rd, 2026. Hey man, you want a drink? No thanks, I'm good. What's the matter, man? You got school tomorrow? It's David Lee Roth. I'm in a goofy mood this morning. It feels really nice out. I know it's about to get brutal for the summers down here. And this is my once monthly shirtless now UO, down a couple LBs. Not worried about just losing the weight super fast, just letting it come. That's the way to do it, dude. Why would you ever be in a rush for it, man? The skin's gonna shrink down. I'm not gonna have all this loose excess skin. Whatever, dude. It's good to still be bulky, husky, chunky boy, and take your time, But dude, I fucking when I was in New York and I was drinking, my buddy was really honest with me after the first night. He goes, dude, I don't want you to take this the wrong way or nothing, but you're sleeping like shit because you're snoring so fucking hard. And he's right. I could feel it, dude. I would wake up and be hawking up dried blood, gross shit, and I'd be waking myself up in the middle of the night, not being able to breathe. Different ways you can lay down and shit, but I don't know. I feel like coming on soon, I'm going to be retelling a lot more stories. I'm getting a better feel and idea for what I want to do with this channel. And it's going to be all encompassing. There'll be times where it's more of like a podcast format and it'll just be like audio recording and I'm sitting around with some homies or people that I find interesting that I want to interview. But there'll always be this element of coming back one on one and just ranting to no one in particular. Those who it is meant to find. And I guess there'll be some people that run into it for some reason that aren't meant to run into it and they'll hate it and be pissed. And that's cool too. But man, it's so funny. I have to check this data and shit on my phone every time I record one of these because it'll be like, oh, you're low on data. And I'm like, how am I adding so much shit? I'm not adding anything. And last night I looked at my phone, right? It has 128 gig storage. But there's always 20, 30 something gigs that are just bullshit stuff you can't touch. I didn't add anything last night. I fell asleep without charging my phone. I plugged my phone in. I check it today and it's at 127.55. And all of a sudden, Instagram is my second highest data app in my phone when usually it's not even in the top five. What the fuck is that? I know no one reads the terms and conditions or anything anymore, and that's literally going to lead to our downfall. But dude, what? Like, how is this shit happening overnight? Oh, by the way, 2% of your phone's total data is just going to be in this update. Come here. Come here. What's up? Um, yeah, but life is crazy, dude. You can sit still and shit can happen to you, and then it seems like you start moving and getting out there, and all these things happen. I think I said that a couple videos back. But that's how New York felt. It felt like I went to New York, and it was like I went to a checkpoint in a video game that unlocked a bunch of missions and stuff. Oh, sweet little kitten. Um, there you go. Wow. Little outdoor kitten keeps all the snakes away. I wonder if she eats lizards and stuff. I bet she does, dude. Lizards and little toads and frogs. I feed her. I'll give her extra food the fellas aren't eating. They're both watching me from the window, seething right now, dude. I haven't been getting munched by mosquitoes back here. Man, what else, dude? There's an art to just being able to sit still and fucking do nothing, and everyone is so programmed and expecting you to just, you got to be constantly working, you got to be doing something, you got to be doing that. And like everyone's got a different level of needing to decompress, and I don't need to decompress, comparatively to other people that have just been, since their late teens working, 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 working their lives away. But you talk to anybody, it's like, objectively, most people are going to be on a path where they work their entire lives, then they get into their like late 50s, 60s, 70s, and then they finally retire. And then you're just some fucking old fart that worked your life away. And that's what most people have in their head. And it's like you go around doing what everyone else wants you to do, and then you just become another chud, another old fart. But like objectively, you take a break halfway through your life and take inventory and take stock of like what's really serving you. You, like I've talked about before, cut certain relationships out of your life, reset new boundaries, and figure out what is really important to you, what you need to do. Why isn't that more normalized? I mean, like you can fall. People will talk about, oh, you're having like a midlife crisis, and then you go and blow a bunch of money or spend a bunch of money on shit or do whatever. But it's like sitting back, minimalizing, getting rid of things, not prioritizing money, having enough to be able to like get by and get the things you need and not be a burden on anyone. I think that's optimal. You should be at that point. And if you haven't sacrificing and putting money away, then like that should be easy. I don't know. I'm autistic, but like I have no regrets about taking her easy the last like 2 years now. I was able to travel. Like what the fuck is that on my back, dude? What the hell was that? Creepy. Uh plant, dude. That was a lizard crawling on my back. Um, I have no regrets taking her more easy the last couple years. If this is my midlife or third life or whatever it is I know that like the compounding effect of like the skills, the wisdom, the learning what not to do. Whenever I like reapply myself to whatever it is and hit it gung ho, I'm just so grateful that I'm on a path that I never have to do shit I fucking don't want to do, dude. And most people get stuck in that because they're not willing to put in that sacrifice time to get in a point where they can do that. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone or like, I just wish more people like did that. I wish, hopefully that might encourage people to, be at a spot where, like, I have buddies that I know that don't watch this channel that I love. They're vastly different and they come from very different backgrounds. And a couple of them this year worked so hard for a company that I was always honest about of not trusting the higher ups. I just didn't have a good gut feeling about it, and I was right. And fucking everyone would come out to me and reach out to me over the years and tell me something shady they did or like some creepy way they treated women or whatever it was. And I don't get any vindication or validation, from that. Uh, but I hope my buddies learn that lesson, and I hope that I could be an example of like I was honest about them. I denied moving up because I didn't, the metaphor I always use, and I said this very openly with people, my peers, people that were above me, people that were below me. I don't want to move up the river and then shit downriver, and then everyone that I just brought up is downriver having to deal with this shit that's like not even genuinely me. I'm just a mouthpiece figurehead for like other people. Because I know in the future there are so many like bright and brilliant people that I've worked with in the past that something might pop up that it pops in their head like, oh, Dan would be good for this. And that's paid off in jobs before. That's got me to relocate for different jobs and, different career, like what, 5 years ago at this point. And then, unrelated, but maybe I'll go in more into it in like another video. But like everyone that trusted their gut and ignored the billions, possibly trillions worth of psyops and propaganda to get peer pressured into taking an experimental gene therapy in the last 5 years is really like, it's, you can't celebrate it, and it's not tough. People think you're an asshole, even though we were right and we're trying to warn people. And I look around and there's so many older people and younger people having heart conditions and getting fucking turbo cancer and getting obliterated to the point where it's becoming so normalized of just, I know so many people that have cancer right now. And I talk to friends and catch up with them, and they're, oh yeah, this person I know, they got cancer. And if I were to point out, well, there's a lot of these studies and they're now showing that if you took this experimental gene therapy, people will get mad at you instead of like trying to break it down and figure out, like, you know what, this person was right, and they tried to lead me away from harming myself, which in effect is going to harm people around you that don't want to lose, obviously. But still, the psyop and the conditioning is so strong. And like, you should know your enemy's playbook. So you look at like the sins of Satanism and you look into like the deep truths of Satanism. And the truth is that people are programmable. They're not good or bad. The ultimate truth is that people are programmable. And there's so much influence and focus to get people fighting against themselves, and to behave in such a way where they don't want to connect. They'd rather go back to their figureheads or their people on TV that just tell them comfortable lies. That's what this whole channel started on. Like the beginning of it was like, the first idea I had was like, I could just tell the same mainstream lies to people. But I know that my crowd are the people that are going to be like rebellious and just don't go with the flow. The people that will move up the stream and shit down the stream for the right reasons is like, you know what, at least I tried to tell you the truth. I wasn't paid by anyone to do it, but you still, in your own free will and your own volition, decided to fall into peer pressure and listen to figureheads and listen to the mainstream media that doesn't have your best interest in mind, and lies to you, but you still trust them more than someone that does their own critical thinking. And these are all the people that are conditioned to, like, they need that external validation and they need to celebrate every victory. And then that falls into a spot where you're like, okay, me and most of my friends and most of the people that I'm close with in my life, they could see this bullshit from a mile away and we could speak honestly about it without being censored. We were all right, and we'll never get any recognition for it. And instead, people will double down and be upset with us. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, am so sorry that you're that way. And I'm so sorry that the people around you are getting heart issues and getting sick, because none of us wanted that to happen except for the people that you still trust. None of us that really care and have God in our hearts and know that we have Source, Christ, God, the connection to the infinite, all knowing, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, the ones that realize the higher frequency, love, empathy with discernment. None of us wanted this bullshit. And we tried to warn you, and some were led astray, and some can come around. Not everyone. I don't want to overgeneralize, but still, so many people can just have the truth shown in their face of, this was created in a lab. These people did lie to you. They told you that this treatment wasn't effective, but it actually was. They told you that this was safe and effective, and it wasn't, and they knew that. They would fake taking the medication, and you could see videos of that all the time. And people would point that out, and then people got mad at you. We didn't want any of this. there's some maybe sick people out there that are like, you deserve this cancer and you deserve that, but like that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother pain and like sickness in their hearts. I'm so sorry if you're like legitimately so sorry if you're dealing with some kind of terminal illness or something brought on or sudden death in your life. Like you know, no one's got a gun to my head and forcing me to feel that way. But if I really sit there and reflect on it, there's an anger there because it's like if you weren't so programmed by these outside forces that you know are lying to you, that you just know, if you were to listen to your internal monologue and not listen to everyone around you, you know, they'd say, you know, when you're a kid, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? Well, people answered one way, but they all actually, in reality, do jump off the bridge. They do take the shot. It's sad, man. And I feel like we're getting slow walked into the next one where it seems like it's so obvious how it's set up this time. This last one was not that deadly and crazy. Oh, I know one person that died. Okay, I know people that have died from the flu. There wasn't a pandemic. There wasn't a kill counter in the corner of some mainstream thing. I know people that have died from different diseases. It could be deadly. It wasn't overall deadly. It was like 99.7% safe or people lived. Whatever you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. The next time around, it will probably be an actual pandemic, and so many people that are like, I ain't taking a shot, I ain't doing that, will probably get crushed because the first time around they're conditioned to like, oh, this really wasn't shit. But if something like a hantavirus or whatever, you know, look into the etymology of that word. You know, that feels like one where it's like, is it like a red herring or something? Like in the season of 2026, it's like they showed us that, and it's like, is this going to be the thing that comes to be, or have people sniffed out the psyop enough, and enough people are awake that they're like, we're not doing that bullshit again? Because that's what it feels like, but it feels like it's like a giving back a little control, and it's ultimately just like fake, you know. But either way, I'm like a week into this cut and I've been doing some more prolonged fasting and I feel good. And I know I still look chunky. Man, I can't wait to see where I'm at the end of the year. And I said in an earlier video, you know, it's nice to actually see someone moving around when they're at that weight rather than just like pictures over time. I don't know, I think that's better. But this isn't really even like meant to watch. You can watch it if you want, but I just like listen to shit on YouTube and listening to different ideas. And I've listened to so many different people from different backgrounds. You can always take something from it. And I think ultimately that's what my channel's for. There's going to be people that run into this that might dislike most of the content, but have the wherewithal to know that there's going to be things that they can pull from this or feel like they're not as crazy in someone's speaking sense. You know, I'll never, this is so funny to say now while like no one's watching this channel, but I'll never take sponsorship money or something from something that just doesn't already fit in my own life. 'Cause like you just associated with something that you have no control over. And I'd rather sit in front of this fucking tree and sit in a shitty broken chair and get munched by bugs than fake it.